Well, welcome to Between Sundays and Summerfest. I'm Tyler, and we're changing things up a little on the show. Throughout July, we'll be taking some listener questions each episode and inviting guests to share more of who they are and who Grace Church is to the friends of the pod. We hope these will be shorter and lighter episodes during Summerfest, so let's get started and welcome in our favorite co-hosts, Maron and Barry. Good day, guys.
Good day.
I can't do a custom intro because
there's nothing to customize it off of.
We're doing this. I don't know how much we're supposed to talk about this, but we're doing this before the sermon was even written.
Yeah.
So I can't pull from the sermon to do custom intros.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's different. Different is okay.
Yeah, we're doing these shortened episodes because Summerfest is kind of like in the past couple of years we've taken Summerfest off from the podcast.
Yeah.
And we've got a new regime in this year.
Oh.
That's like we're not taking any episodes off.
No, we got to keep the engine going.
Yeah, we're gonna give the listeners what they want, which is between Sundays every week.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to prepare for Summerfest. So we're going to do a couple of shortened episodes where we're inviting staff, volunteers, congregants of Grace Church to basically talk about themselves and what they're doing this summer. And first guest,
a very special guest,
is my very own son, Milo Bender.
Hi.
Hey, Mo.
Yay!
We were told that Mo has not heard the sound clips, so these will all be a surprise. What do you prefer to be called these days? Mo, Milo, Momo?
What do they call you at school?
Milo.
Okay.
They just call you Milo.
What do they call you at home?
Mo.
And what are your friends down the block? What are the friends that are your neighbors? What do they call you?
Mo and Milo.
Oh, so it's kind of a hybrid thing.
Yeah, everybody in our house, all the kids have a nickname.
Right.
And so you were the firstborn, and I don't remember how it happened, but we just started calling you Momo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not short for Milo or anything, but we started calling you Momo, and it's just kind of stuck. And so now we call you Mo, we call you Momo, we call you...
Momo makes the most sense based on his current name. Yeah. Goose and Peeps.
yeah, the other nicknames are Goose and Peeps.
Who are also sitting in the
here,
room.
by the way. So if you hear them acting up, that's what's going on. Before we get to you, Mo, I wanted to just remind listeners, friends of the pod, to submit questions to gracechurch.us/podcast. I got a couple in this past week. And so I see them all. So no question is off limits. Doesn't mean your off limits question will get talked about on the show, but
that's a good clarification.
It's great to see what people are wondering and what people want us to answer. So we've got a couple of those coming up, but submit questions to gracechurch.us/podcast, and part of the show throughout July is just going to be answering listener questions. So
did you get any off the wall questions that cannot be aired?
No, not this week. They're all appropriate. Okay. They're all
That's good.
Between Sundays appropriate. So Mo, let's start with you. And then you can help us answer some of these questions maybe in a little bit. But you said last night you were nervous about this. You said you were nervous about a couple of things. This was one of them, being on this podcast, and the other one was playing your cousin one-on-one in basketball.
Ooh.
Right?
Whoa.
Do you feel better about either one of those things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me about this one-on-one cousin basketball
The past
game.
2 weeks, Milo... We go to my parents' house for family dinner, and Milo plays his cousin Will in one-on-one basketball, and the whole family gathers around to watch them.
That's a lot of pressure.
I think so far you've won one game, and he's won one game, and they've declared that the final game is coming up, and he's nervous about it.
You think you're gonna win?
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Do you feel good about it? You think you've got the edge?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. How old are you guys both? Are you the same age?
Yeah.
How old is that? For the listeners that don't know you.
I'm 7.
You're going to be 8 in a couple weeks, though, right?
Whoa.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. So the length of this podcast is almost about as old as you are. We started this right after, I think, shortly after you were born. So
ancient history, basically. Wow.
Anyways, you said you were a little bit nervous about this, but little do you know, we've been talking about you your entire life on this show. So friends of the pod already kind of know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And
does that make you more or less nervous?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does. It makes me more and less nervous. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Your birthday is in a couple of weeks, right? What are you going to do for your 8th birthday?
Well, I'm going to a Indians game with my friends.
Ooh, that's cool.
Indianapolis Indians game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, tell us more about that. Like, why did you want to do that for your 8th birthday?
Well, it's because I love baseball, and a couple of my friends love baseball too.
Good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What have you been doing this summer break? What have you been hanging out with friends? What have you been doing?
I've been hanging out with friends. I've been going to the pool, and I've been playing basketball.
That's awesome. You're kind of a sporty guy. You like basketball, baseball. Do you like other sports?
Yeah.
Like what?
Football.
Football.
Golf.
Now, do you really like golf, or does your dad just want you to like golf?
I like golf.
Okay, all right.
Have you been taking lessons for golf?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. How's that been
Golf
going?
camp started this last week.
oh, golf camp.
Wow.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I think that's what they call it, don't they?
Is that kind of like space camp?
Yeah. What do you do at golf camp? Do you do like golf crafts?
No.
And eat golf snacks?
No.
What do you do?
You learn how to play golf.
Oh, well, I've never been to golf camp.
Do they do drills where you have to run back and forth from the hole to your cart to get a soda?
No.
Oh, so it's not.
Soda.
I'm just trying to imagine
calisthenics.
golf camp.
Okay, here's a really hard question. What do you like better, basketball or golf?
Yeah. Ooh.
It's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
Basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good
I
answer.
I
Good
figured.
answer.
All right, Milo, you're a big jokester. You tell a lot of jokes at home. You and your brother Lane share jokes all the time. And so I wanted the friends of the pod to know, what is your favorite joke to tell?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
I'm a pile up.
A pile up who? Or I'm a pile up who?
I'm glad you said it.
no!
I'm glad you said it.
no!
You got him.
He got me.
You got him.
It didn't even cross my mind. Wow.
You got him. Nailed it.
That's amazing. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to use that because that's a funny joke. Wow.
I was like, man, I hope this flies. I figured I knew what he was going to say. And he just, every time he gets the recipient every time. He got his mom real good when he did it. He's gotten his aunt and grandma and grandpa a couple times.
Pretty good. Are you the one who taught your sister, guess what?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Are you going to teach her all the jokes you know?
Should we get her on here for a really quick cameo
Oh.
to do
You
guess
think she
what?
Let's see if she does it. Hey, Peeps. Come here. Peeps, come here.
Go on over.
You want to... Oh. Okay,
She's crawling through
Come
the mics
the hardest
and,
way possible. Come here. Say hi.
Hi.
She's waving.
Who's that over there?
Hi.
Can you say, guess what?
Guess what?
What?
But
Nice. Got him.
Chicken butt.
Yeah, guess what chicken butter is her go-to joke.
It's a pretty good one.
Can you do knock knock?
Who's there?
I'll pile up.
A pile of poo?
Nailed it. All right, thanks, Peeps.
Good job, Peeps.
Yay.
All right.
Down to business. Here we
Down
go.
to business, Mo. For those watching on YouTube, they can see that you're missing something.
I'm missing a tooth.
You're missing a lot of teeth.
Uh-huh. Looks like you got in an accident with a wall or something.
Yeah, what
Wow.
happened?
I was playing basketball with my cousin Will,
Uh-huh.
and he accidentally knocked the basketball into my tooth. Then it was bleeding really bad.
Uh-huh.
Then my dad pulled it out.
Yeah.
Whoa. So it was
Wow.
supposed to come out. It was not an adult tooth. It was one of those that was going to come out.
But
okay.
was that the first tooth that you lost?
No, this was my first tooth.
How many teeth have you lost?
4.
Whoa.
4.
Wow.
So you have no teeth at the top in the top of your front, like you're missing both of your front teeth.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Weird.
Yeah.
How do
I
you
bet.
eat corn on the cob?
I don't know.
Or an apple?
I don't know.
You got to grow those teeth quick because you've got like maybe a month and a half before corn on the cob season.
Mm-hmm.
You got to
I
get.
I already have one growing.
Okay. All
You
right.
do? Oh, good.
The one that Will knocked my tooth.
Oh,
really?
that one's
Yeah.
already coming back?
Yeah.
Do you guys, Maron and Barry, do you guys do well with blood?
I have 2 kids, so
Well, that doesn't-
by this point, yeah, I'm all right. I mean, I don't have the thing where you pass out on site. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't love it,
Yeah.
but I think like I spring into action when something has to be done. You
Yeah.
grab the first aid kit and you just do what you got to do.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, I've had like no issue with blood my entire life except one time. Like I watched them draw blood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No problem. Except one time I had to go to the minute clinic because I had a thorn that went deep into my hand, and then I didn't know it was there, and it grew and it like healed up over it. So I had to have like a tiny little mini surgery to get and I was watching to see. I was like so curious, and then all of a sudden I had that. What's it called? Like a vagal nervous response or whatever. It's the passing out thing. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm about to pass out, and I was like, this has never happened to me. I don't know what's going on. And yeah. So
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I've never had an issue.
You?
Well, I thought I was fine with it. I don't like it. I don't like blood.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, I don't know that I love blood.
when the ball hit his mouth, it was bleeding.
Did you call foul at least? Like, did you get to shoot a free throw?
Is that how you won the game? No.
No, yeah.
We just went on.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's right.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right. That's tough guy. You just went on.
So there was a bunch of blood, but as I said, the whole family's standing around.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I have to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
I have to
Push through.
Because you had an audience.
Yeah. Everybody's like, what's going on? Somebody's got to pull this tooth. I'm like, I guess it's got to be me.
That's the most Tyler thing I've ever heard.
So do you like having no teeth up there? Like, is it easier to like drink through a straw or something? Like what's the benefits of not having any teeth?
Well, I like it. It's just hard to eat stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough. What are you eating these days? What is your favorite food?
I don't know.
You don't
You
have
don't
a
know?
favorite food?
Pizza.
Yeah, you like pizza.
spaghetti, hamburgers,
Sourdough bread.
Brussels
Ooh.
sprouts, straight from the plant.
You got some Sour Patch Kids right there.
Ooh.
I promised Milo that if he talked like a big boy, I'd get him some candy. I didn't get him mad. But,
Doing a great job.
Milo. Wow.
all right, Mo. A couple more questions for you. What do you want people who listen to this or watch this? What do you want them to know that you're really good at?
Basketball?
Basketball. You've got a good shot. You're a lefty,
Wow.
so that's interesting.
Is that an advantage? I don't know enough about basketball.
It's not really an advantage in basketball. It's just people aren't used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
but it's not like it's harder to defend against or something.
no, I think probably once you get used to guarding somebody who's left-handed, it becomes easier. But right away, it's unconventional.
Very cool.
Yeah, because I can't shoot a left-handed layup. I'm not good at it, but you can.
I can't shoot a left-handed layup either.
Milo, is your dad good at basketball?
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Say it louder, so make sure everybody hears. All right, Milo, you went to Grace Kids Camp, right? This is your second year being a camper. You've come a lot of years because mom's volunteered, right? But it's your second year being a camper, and you recently at Grace Kids Camp made a big decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what that was?
Well, I accepted Jesus into my heart.
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
We could do better than that.
I don't have very many.
That is better than that, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Believe God.
Milo, that's really awesome.
Yeah,
That's really
so
exciting.
so amazing.
So you've brought this up a couple of times during the school year, right? You've said, Dad, I want to ask Jesus into my heart on the way to school. And I've said, oh, really? Like, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, tell me more about that. You're like, I really want to ring the bell. Right?
What bell?
Yeah, tell us about that.
Is that a thing at your school?
Isn't there a bell that you get to ring if you ask Jesus into your heart?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anything else to say about that? So kids camp happened and it's not during school, right? So you made the decision to ask Jesus into your heart. Tell us a little bit about how or why you made that decision.
Well, it was kind of like Because I wanted to, like, help my mom, like, not argue to anybody and help people.
That's awesome.
You wanna help
You want to
people?
be more like Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool.
What do you think Jesus is like? Do you think he's nice?
Yeah.
What else? What else do you think?
He's trustworthy.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a big word.
Good word. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we pray every night, right? Before bed and other times. When you talk to God, what do you pray for? What are some things you usually pray for?
Well, I pray for my family and my friends to stay healthy and
Yeah, that's good.
That's awesome.
So
Great.
earlier this summer, Lane, who's here, he's been on the show before, but we were talking earlier this summer about the Pacers, and Lane or Milo was like, my favorite Pacer ever is Reggie Miller.
Wow.
And Lane said, mine is God. And Milo said, God's not a basketball player. And Lane said, well, he's better than you.
Wow. Wow.
So, you got him. You got him there.
Got him.
Yeah. All right, Mo. What else? Anything else to say about that? What are you going to do today? Do you know?
no, I don't know.
All right. Did you know that we did this podcast
Like, did you know that your dad does a podcast every week?
every week? Almost 300 episodes. I know.
face.
See? You got to be on YouTube. See his face. What do you think about that?
Crazy.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Milo. Thanks for being here. You want to stick around and help us answer some questions from listeners?
Yeah.
Okay,
All
great.
right.
All right. So, guys, this is questions from friends of the pod. And again, if you have questions that you would love for us to answer as a group, you can send those. You can go to gracechurch.us/podcast. There's a button on there that says submit your question.
You're going to get like 15 questions for Milo now.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, if you have questions, Milo.
Yeah.
Are
What
you-
questions do you have for
Are you
Barry?
yawning? Are you tired?
No, I'm saying friends of the pod are going to be asking questions
Oh, yeah.
of
we have
Milo.
questions for Milo. Yeah. All right. Question number 1. I guess this is for people on the speaking team. So, you
that's
guys.
us. All right.
How do you choose topics for sermon series? Is it based on what's happening in culture or the church?
I'd say that's a Barry question. You mostly pick the topics for sermon series.
So it's a good question. There's kind of a sort of a dynamic way that I go about kind of figuring out what the series are. Sometimes it's purely just me looking at the teaching calendar and recognizing like, oh man, it's been a while since we've been in the Old Testament, or we haven't talked about the Psalms, that kind of thing. That's a consideration. Sometimes it is a general sense of what's going on in the world. For example, back in whenever I decided the January sermon series for this year, which was endurance, right? All about hupomone. I knew that January, regardless of what was going to happen with the election, regardless of what was going to happen in the world, I knew January was going to be a lot for people and it was going to be intense. And so I kind of had that sense of like, we're probably, could be wrong, but we're probably going to need to talk about endurance to start the year off right. And it worked out that way.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I'll actually bring concepts to you guys and the other pastors, and we'll discuss things as a lead team. Sometimes the board chimes in and I'll ask them for thoughts on upcoming series and things like that. So it's kind of a mix. I mean, Christmas, it's always going to be about the birth of Jesus, and there's only so many angles that you can use. But I've so far managed in all the I've done maybe 5 or 6 different sermon series for Christmas, maybe 7, and all of them have been different angles so far with one repeat. So I'm feeling pretty good about that one. But anyway,
All right.
so I don't know. It's kind of a mix. But I will say all I'm giving to the pastors who are preaching or the other teachers who are preaching is kind of just a paragraph and a core passage. And the paragraph is just sort of like, here's a very general direction. Like, why is this passage a part of this series? And the passages themselves do all the other work. So Maron's sermons are completely written by her, with her perspective, her exegesis, all that. So,
yeah, and that's interesting because I can read Barry's paragraph of, hey, here's kind of what I was thinking. We can take Summerfest for example. I know I'm preaching later. I think I'm actually closing out the Summerfest series, and I'll be talking about young Jesus in the temple.
yeah.
And so I've got a scripture passage that talks about young Jesus in the temple and kind of a general idea of where Barry's mind is at. But then it comes down to like me and the Holy Spirit of, all right, how are we going to bring this story to life? And Holy Spirit, what do you want our people to hear from this story? What is for them? So yeah, it's really cooperative.
All right.
Yeah.
What's something I learned recently that I didn't know? I thought all of the speakers were like, "Hey, here's my sermon, Barry. What do you think?" But nobody does that.
No. When it comes to being on the speaking team, I mean, it's ultimately kind of my decision of who's, because that's my job description is literally I'm overseeing teaching at Grace, but I choose who's on the teaching team. But as far as I'm concerned, once someone is on the teaching team, that is a vote of confidence that I feel confident that they are going to teach well. And if there was ever a concern that would come up, it theologically, like we'd talk about it, but I trust, and that's never happened. And I trust the teaching team to do well.
When I have had concerns, I have submitted those things to Barry ahead of whenever the sermon notes are due. There was one a while ago where I'm like, all right, I feel like saying this, but is it saying too much? I will always want to say too much. Yeah. And so, sometimes I'll take my concerns to Barry and he'll help me kind of straighten things out in my mind. But
yeah. All right, next question. What is something behind the scenes at Grace that we would be surprised to know? So we being people of Grace or friends of the pod.
Surprised to know.
Yeah.
Where do I begin? I don't know. I think I don't know. Maybe this isn't a story for the pod.
There's also a child sitting right next to you. So
last week, it was well over 80 degrees in the auditorium. When some of our production people were in there working because they have to design lights for the weekend. They have to go up in the catwalk, up. If you're ever sitting in our sanctuary and you look up and you see all those little pathways and walkways, there's people in that room working really hard all throughout the week. So they might be surprised to know that on occasion,
we turn it into a sauna.
People nearly pass out on the job.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was fixed. The situation was remedied.
Yeah.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that, you may be surprised to know that I am in charge of who gets to decide what temperature that auditorium is.
Temporarily.
I was surprised to hear that last week too. So
I think it was an accident. It's not typically over 80 degrees in there, but it's just those funny little things that happen because a lot happens between Sundays.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have any idea of what people think my job is like day to day. Everyone always says, "Oh, I'm sure you're super busy," and that's true. But I don't know what they imagine. Some people, I imagine, are thinking that most of my job is spent writing sermons and sitting in a quiet room praying or something like that. But
that's what I honestly, before I came to work at a church, I'd spent 10 years not working in a church environment, and I honestly thought how hard could it be? You're sitting around just for Tim Hayward, I'm sure he's just sitting around practicing songs. How hard could that possibly be?
Right.
And then you get here and you're like,
oh yeah.
Okay, so
oh my
a
goodness.
day in the life. My call time yesterday was 7 a.m. because I was leading worship, or I was singing on the worship team, I should say. I went from singing on the worship team directly to a wedding that I officiated outdoors. In the 90-something degree temps.
About that.
That was so great. It was a beautiful wedding, but my Lord, it was so hot. Then I came home. I had just enough time to eat dinner before I started on my next project, which was picking worship songs for July 12th. I'm leading on the 12th. Or maybe 13th. Whatever the second Sunday in July is, that's what I'm doing. But the music project that I was embroiled in took hours and hours and hours. I didn't go to bed until 1 a.m. So, save for a dinner break, I worked from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. nonstop.
Wow.
Yeah. Milo, is there anything surprising about you that people should know?
No.
You're just an open book.
Open book.
Yeah.
I bet if I asked your brother, he'd tell me some surprising things about you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Does Goose have all your secrets?
All right. And,
look at his face.
all right, next question. I'm going to skip through a couple here. What's your backup sermon? Like if you were on your way to work and your notes flew out the window.
Stop.
Your notes
No.
flew out the window
In
and
Jesus'
somebody...
And
they were never to be seen again.
Yeah,
your
and
laptop
my
broke.
phone died. That's right.
What sermon are you, and you're on your way to church to preach, like what sermon is in your back pocket that you, if you had to wing it, you would do it?
If I had to just preach a sermon off the cuff, one that I would be able to do without even blinking is one that I've essentially already given, which is just Philippians 2. I talk about that passage. I know every nook and cranny of that passage. But I think a sermon I haven't given that I could probably preach off the cuff would have something to do with anything having to do with like the dynamic of Rome and the early church and what it looks like. Maybe Revelation 12 and 13. That's probably the answer. I could preach a sermon that no one's heard before on the beast from the sea and the beast from the land in Revelation 12 and 13. That would be fun.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll lose my notes sometime and I'll just do that.
Oh, Lord, no. Lord, please, no.
Yeah, what about you, Maron?
It's like my worst fear in
What would
the
you do?
world is losing my notes. What would I do? I would curl up in a ball and I would cry. No, I think I would go to either the armor of God or some passage from Corinthians about all being part of the body of Christ, being unified. I think my heart has always kind of just been beating for unity and unity within the church, and I would probably just go to that.
Cool.
And then go home and cry.
Yeah.
And curl up in a ball and cry.
All right, last one. What is the weirdest thing someone has ever said to you right before you walked up on stage to preach?
This is hard. Because I don't want to call nobody out.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
Yeah,
Well, they're probably not
we
friends
might
with
even be
the
thinking about the same person.
I'm sure we are. I'm 100% sure we are. How about instead of exactly answering your question, I'll say something that I don't know if it's weird or just like thoughtless, but when I first kind of started, when I became lead pastor or right before I became lead pastor and I was preaching more and things like that, someone came up to me in the lobby and they said, like, just thinking this was going to be such an encouragement to me. They said, Barry, when you first started preaching here, I hated it. I hated when you preached, but you have really started to grow on me.
Yeah.
I think we've all gotten that.
You've gotten that.
That kind of email.
Uh-huh.
I've definitely got it about this show. It's like, my wife hates that show. My wife hates Between Sundays, but I really like it, or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh,
It's
thanks.
like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're usually too emotional for my taste, but this one was really good.
Oh my gosh.
Well, my version, I've never preached, but my version of that was I was leading worship and center stage, somebody was sitting in the second row. So like right in front of me and I'm singing, whatever. And I opened my eyes in a very like worshipful moment. And there's somebody sitting there doing this, like
with their hands over their ears.
They're like grimacing,
squinting.
looking at me, holding their hands over their ears.
It's
just
not you. It's
closing their ears.
It's just too loud in the room for some people.
So that was kind of weird for
That's
me.
not you.
Whether it was me or not, I was sitting there and I was like, why'd you sit this close? Like what am I supposed to do?
You took it personally. It was not personal. No.
I've learned that like there's so many people and people are coming into church from so many different places.
Yes.
Some people are having a terrible weekend.
Yes.
Some people are there and they were dragged there against their will. Some are exhausted because they pulled an all-nighter the night before. You never know. So
No excuses.
I'm like, you know what? If people are falling asleep in my message or they're like acting completely distracted, they probably have a really good reason for it.
I have that curmudgeon in my mind. We've talked about him before on the show. But that's because I met him once.
Oh.
After so this isn't before I've gotten up to speak. This is
it's after.
I spoke. But I was leading us through through communion. And I believe I said something to the effect of, this is his body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance, whatever. And this man said, young lady, not one bone in his body was broken. And then he kind of gave me like a little smile and a nod and walked away. So,
Eager to navigate the fun.
Be a pastor, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
And you said to him, did I say bones? I didn't. I said body broken for you, and that is a traditional rendering.
But that's what I mean. Like, some people are just out there splitting
and
hairs.
he was probably like, that's gonna slay. That joke is so funny.
He wasn't joking.
I mean, he thought he was.
He wanted to school me, and bless his heart, I haven't seen him again. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, our communion wasn't accurate enough for him.
All right. So that's it. Those are listener questions for the week.
Go.
Remember, submit your questions. gracechurch.us/podcast. That's kind of what we're going to be doing through Summerfest, so stick with us. It's going to be fun. Next week, we've got Danny Staley and Randy Kinnaman
awesome.
joining us from the Grace Church staff, and we've got different guests all throughout the month, and we'll do questions, so submit those. Next week, we'll be back, and until then, join us for Summerfest.
Milo,
thanks for being here.
Any final words for the pod? Anything you want to say to the
You're lounging
friends?
now, so you feel more comfortable. Hope you feel good.
You have done such a great job.
Yes.
And you have more than earned your Sour Patch Kids.
I agree.
Well done, Milo. Mo.
Marcus gave him that candy, so I guarantee you he's going to walk out and be like, where's the candy from you, Dad?
I love that. I love Marcus. Yeah. Marcus gives your kid candy, and Marcus gives my kid French onion dip. Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus.
And Marcus is a faithful friend of the pod, so we know he's listening.
Yeah,
right
he
now.
was very concerned. He emailed or texted me being like, what happened to the audio a couple weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, hey, we had to use backup audio because I messed it up. And he was like, good. I thought something was wrong. I was going to let you know. So he's like looking out for us.
Thanks, Marcus.
Yeah. All right, Maron, can you please send us out?
I sure will. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
And we'll see you on the other side of Sunday.